legend like Madonna is. Promise this, be prominent. Oh yeah, we poppin', bitch. Yeah, knees deep in the pool. I'm drowning, leaking the proof. Truth, I got a demon or two. I mean, I'm not eager to lose, and I'm not leaving till I'm mean and improved. Best believe that I'm seeing it through. Me
Priddy Ugly!
Big vrr.
Oh, not just vrr, big
Nah,
vrr.
it's
The
big.
year is 2015 and the South African music scene is buzzing. You had the likes of AKA, the late AKA, Casper Nyovest, Cooley China, Questa, the Skanda God himself, KO, and a bunch of others holding it down on the scene. You also had the likes of the OGs, the likes of Double HP, Pro Kid, Proverb here and there. And on the side of the new school, you had the likes of Nasty C, fresh off of Price City, A-Breeze, fresh off of The Best Things in Life Are For Free, MT with Avery, all these artists with various hit songs, well established and on the way to the top, no doubt about it. The NFL new artists were not really that new of an artist, haven't been active since the early 2010s, having only started to blow up really and fully around 2015 and 16. He was gaining a bit of traction with two songs, one released in 2014 and one released in 2015. The track titles are Swag Demonstration and Reminder to Myself.
pool, I'm drowning, I'm leaking the proof. Truth, I got a demon or two. I'm seeking to prove, I mean, I ain't eager to lose, and I'm not leaving till I'm.
Swag Demonstration was a vibe, definitely, but Reminder to Myself is where all the attention was held, especially in the increasing landscape of both fans and artists growing in the love of pure hip-hop, with bars and basically the skill of rapping as a genre as a whole. It was gaining traction around 2016 with more pure rappers getting notoriety and the spotlight being shined upon them, and it was growing. It was definitely growing in the right direction. Priddy Ugly himself had a unique type of writing. It was polished for someone not a lot of people knew. The confidence, the cadence, the flows, they were different and intriguing.
We keep the secret clouded. I got a homie that stole a couple rollies. He won't ever tell you what the fucking time is.
But besides his close circle and loyal fan base, including me by the way, it seemed no one wanted to recognize him. Give him, I wouldn't say his flowers, but I guess put him in the new school. He wasn't necessarily a new school like that, but some would argue his name should have been up there with the likes of A-Reese, Nasty C and MT and a bunch of others who were, I guess, coming up on the scene that time. But it was mum. There was nothing on Priddy Ugly, and it was a conundrum for both the artist and his fans. That changed on 9 April 2016. The game would be forced to take notice when an album titled You Don't Know Me Yet, the Deluxe, was released, accompanied by the lead single
Come to my casa, Oza.
The bra's got the juice, the bra's got the loose.
I said come to my casa, Oza.
Come to My Casa featuring Youngster CPT, and also Cocaine Ghost and Pray featuring A-Reese and Shane Eagle. All these songs would garner success on their own, and the album had also notable features like the late Double HP, Big Star Johnson, Cly, Refi Sings and Reba Red, who would provide amazing vocals and elevate songs like Tula Mama and Nobody. He was able to tell a story, a sad story, a happy story, but a story nonetheless with his raps, and also brag on the next song. It was a mixture of elements. He was a different type of breed of an artist, and the style that he came up with definitely set him apart. He also had another ace up his sleeve, the undeniable chemistry Priddy had with his producer, Witchy 1080, was not to be denied.
Raps Hercules, I'm burning heat to the 3rd degree. Your run on me will be your worst defeat.
It was definitely bold and just right at the right time, something that was needed. Different type of beats, different type of raps, a new attitude, and Priddy Ugly had it all, and he certainly put in some hard work with it. Now with all this hard work and clear impact on the streets, the fans on the ground, most people knew 1 or 2 songs from the album, and even less songs from before 2015. All this coupled by the fact that Priddy was unsigned.
And I dropped in the mood, but I ended up dropping it, but I dropped it on my own, you know?
Yeah,
It didn't really do what it didn't do.
Of course,
it did
yeah.
nothing. You know, couldn't get it played on nothing. No YFM, nothing. Like, everybody's just like,
Just
nothing.
the dancer
So I was
file
like,
host.
Yo, yeah, one. So
He was a solo artist. He was doing the marketing. He was doing the booking. He was doing the paying of the pay slips, and all that takes a toll on a single artist. And the fact that his music wasn't really being played, I guess, on radio like that, it leads to frustration from both his fans and also Ugly himself. With all this good music out and it not reaching the fans or the people that it should have, this led to people believing he should sign to a major label to get a wide variety of new ears and eyes basically to his music. So this takes us to 2017, Ambition. After what many people would say a great debut album, 2013's The Ugly Truth doesn't count, by the way. The next steps basically were a scheduled tour, and Priddy Ugly being independent at the time meant, like I said, he was doing the work of a team alone. And he also breaks it down here. His naysayers also argued he didn't have a radio hit. For all the pen game and the great first album, he wasn't bursting through the right doors. His music was barely getting airplay, and so it's no surprise that in 2017 he was approached and signed to one of the biggest record labels in the country at the time. You know, it boasted the likes of Java, MT, Loiso, Saudi, Amanda Black, Miss Prue, and a bunch of others. And with most of these artists that I mentioned, their most successful period musically, it was when they were signed to Ambitious. Priddy skill making music was never in doubt before, and signing to Ambitious made the most sense to him. It was his big break, a chance to make music and travel on tour without being the one to handle all this. And looking at the artists that I've mentioned and some that I didn't mention, at that time it looked like the label had been taking care of the artist. They had big hits after hit after hit, and it seemed like there's nothing that they could do wrong as a label. All they did was work for the artist. The likes of Aries came in, he was a bigger star. There were no rumblings about anything. The likes of MT came in, he basically held it down on the trap side of the game, being one of the best under Ambitious. And then you had the likes of Java. Java was basically known throughout Africa, and with the help of Ambitious, it was just growth. It seemed like a perfect family, as they would also release various songs featuring each other. You know, one big happy family. It made sense for someone like Priddy Ugly, who had been alone for the longest of time, to join in. You know, it seemed like a recipe for success. What could go wrong? About a week before Priddy signed to the label, prominent artists such as Aries, Fifi Cooper, Benchmark and Flame left the label, you know, due to, well, we'll come back to this in a few minutes. Priddy Ugly, if he had any doubts about signing to the label, they were all put to bed when a song titled In the Mood he released on October 2016 sounded like a certified hit, but nothing on the radio.
So like a lot of the radio DJs, you know, submitted the music to, they have personal feelings towards me or whatever the case is. They don't play the music, you know. So it's like, you know, and the one guy was like, no, you know, I don't play his music because, well, I don't like him because he's dope, but he doesn't look like the type of guy I'd share a beer with, you know. It's like, what does that even mean, dog? I'm not trying to share a beer with you. Play the music, you know. I don't, you know.
And also the push just came from the man himself. So, however, all that changed 7 April 2017. After signing with Ambitious, he dropped a remix of the same song featuring a fellow Ambitious artist, Saudi, Umsotra Man.
yeah. Man, I'm in the mood, feeling good. Then I wish a nigga would.
Suddenly, you couldn't go a day without hearing it every day for a few months without fail.
It's like, as tough days, I'm considering like just quitting this rap thing, just drop the video. So this song that I've had for the last 8 months that I wasn't able to do nothing with, nothing, you know? The same song, I don't even think I changed my verse or anything, you know? we just put Saudi on the thing, and the next day, you know, Channel O was playing it, MTV Base,
And it was going crazy.
everywhere. You know what I mean? YFM, you know,
Saudi
dudes
did
are big. You know what I mean?
justice
Having backup in the form of a huge label looked like a win-win for the man. He was touring the country and it all seemed like a dream until it wasn't. While a lot of people gave Priddy no respect for his style, some calling him boring, saying he raps too much, he has no hits. Don't take my word for it. Listen to this.
Okay, they actually don't think I can rap because I just come from Ambitious Entertainment, and at Ambitious Entertainment, like the CEO telling me, like, yo, bro, you rap too much. I don't need these raps from you. We need to simplify the music, dumb it down. We need the 3-year-old and the 63-year-old and everyone in between to listen to your music. And that's what's gonna make you a star. But if it's only gonna be your niche group of people who enjoy you for your raps, you know what I'm saying? Then you're gonna stay underrated forever.
This is the type of criticism that has been dished out to many rappers out there. You know, notable rappers like J. Cole, that they are one note. They can't produce a hit to save their lives, but fundamentally, these are conscious rappers. Rappers who rely on their pen game and thought-provoking raps, and some would say they really don't need that much of a change. But on 28 November 2018, he dropped his second official album titled Egypt. Well, first official album, because I guess you don't know me yet, is classified as a mixtape in a way. With Egypt, Priddy Ugly cannot be faulted for thinking he was getting all the support, especially for his first full album since he signed to the label. But boy was he wrong. On the week that he released an album, about 4 or 5 other artists released albums on the same label, and he could never really get, I guess, the support that he needed, the support that he wanted.
Hey man, I felt like I wasn't getting the support or the push I felt I deserved. I remember when we dropped Egypt, that week alone we dropped 5 albums from Ambitious Entertainment.
Oh yeah, I remember that issue. That's when Ambitious had gotten like
It was
super
crazy.
big.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
myself,
thousands of niggas.
La Sauce, I think CC at the time, Drugs Inc. dropped,
Yeah.
Egypt dropped, all in the
Didn't
same week.
Amanda Black also
Yeah,
drop in that
all
week?
in the
Yeah, I remember
same
that.
week, you know, and I was just like, yo. So as a result, there was no interviews that were planned for the release of Egypt. There was nothing. I got no PR.
And on top of not having support from the label, it didn't help much the fact that his style had clearly changed. His album now, it was kind of polarizing. Fans didn't know how to feel about the new songs, although there were plenty of radio-friendly sounding songs.
Baby, look at me. I like your face. I like your face. Now tell me how you like my taste. Slow wine.
You know, his day one fans kind of missed the consistent greatness of his pen game, and the beats had a little bit of a change. You know, he had kind of, I would say, lost himself a bit. The album didn't really do well, you know, in terms of the scale that people projected it should have been. It undoubtedly had great songs.
So you can find me scheming with the bosses. I see you tweeting about the gossip. I keep a secret to the coffin. Don't get my sneakers with the shoppers. My plug is a dealer with a stockist. My plug is a dealer with a
From start to the end, it had good songs to great songs, maybe a couple of misses here and there, but overall it felt like a solid body of work. As the man says himself, he didn't really get the support that he thought he deserved, and the album basically was slept on. There were no promotional material for it, there were no interviews except interviews that basically the people who mess with Priddy Ugly brought him to their platform to talk about the album, but nothing from the label side, nothing from the push to go out there, and it felt like, I guess, broken promises. 8 months after dropping the album and getting no support from the very people you'd expect to have your back fully on this journey that you just started, Priddy Ugly left the label. And not sure how the deal went by, but he was able to get his album. He was able to live with his album, as 2 months later he dropped the deluxe of Egypt with a few notable songs missing. but also with some new fresh music, as it always happens with the deluxe. And with this drop, he felt that the original was slept on and maybe a deluxe could do better. It didn't. It did not do better at all. The quality of the music was still there, but now you're working against the machine. You're no longer with the label, and I guess even radio and TV are now no longer obligated to play your music, because you no longer have the attachments of the label that maybe would have helped. As much as it was not a win-win situation for Priddy Ugly, having those ties around Ambitious, the fact that you're associated with them, then it kind of feels like they are more obliged to play music because you are an artist of Ambitious. That changes when you leave the record label. So it seemed like you couldn't break through, couldn't go further than that second gear in terms of gaining more fans, and most especially, gaining the respect of his peers. A few of them definitely vibed with him, but it seemed like he was still an artist trying to break through. Even after being signed to a label, it just seemed like he was still on the up and he wasn't really there yet. While some would say his peers, they were already there. The likes of MT, Aries, and Nasty C, they were doing their own things. They had become much bigger stars. And Priddy Ugly, it kind of seemed like he was still stuck on the second floor instead of bursting through outside of the roof.
It's been successful or not successful, but in me, like everything that I've done has been a success. Me waking up as an independent artist,
you just need a fire behind you.
Bro, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree.
But like as an independent artist, I was like, who the fuck are Priddy Ugly's fans though? You know what I mean? Because
I feel you.
when that chick.
2018 was also a tough year to gain recognition. Albums like Touch My Blood by AKA, Emakaya by Mlindo the vocalist, Strings and Blame by Nasty C, as well as competing with some of the previous year's work like Manando by MT, Tuto by Casper, Yellow by Shane Eagle, and all these albums seemed to outshine both his original and deluxe of Egypt. It kind of seemed like it was going nowhere and there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And his fans, us, we were optimistic when he became independent again. We also believed Ugly he wasn't gonna go down without a swing. And I have to say, he kinda swung. A year passes and Priddy Ugly stays in studio. November 8th, 2019, he drops his third album, or EP I guess, titled GOAT, Glory on Any Territory. And the verdict was kind of 50-50. Sounds like,
I'm the head of state, and we can set a date. Leave your body while your soul levitates to heaven's gate. And I was high first, Satan came hella late. I'm a lot like Jesus, I just got a better fate.
Head of State and Glory, magnum opus, gave us the taste of, I guess, old Priddy, but also new Priddy. Songs like Yes Sir and Water Galore. But you can make a case that those songs are inspired by old Priddy, with songs like Willa Boot, etc. As much as fans wanted the sound back, and they got it. They got a taste of a similar sound, but it kind of seemed like we wanted more. It also was not fully appreciated. Another conundrum for Priddy Ugly. You've left the label, you've dropped some new stuff. It doesn't seem to be reaching the level that you think it should for the amount of work that you put in, and we're not really there yet. I guess you ask yourself as an artist, where to from now? And he himself admits that at some point he thought about quitting. He thought about just saying, no, this isn't working for me. Going into the last chapter is what I would like to call a hat trick, a three-peat, a threesome. 2020, we had the virus and everybody was forced to stay at home. Priddy didn't just stay at home, he wrote some raps.
Yeah, we need more militant youth, diligent troops. The enemy is itching to shoot. The system is screwed. They got the kids riddled and juiced. They flipping the news and record labels bidding for views.
I would say the beginning of an artist that has found himself, that is on the road to finding himself. An artist that has mashed together beats, that has mashed together raps, rhymes, and has actually found his voice. Although he dropped a few songs here and there between 2019 and 2020, it seemed like he was really locked in, you know. And the lock-in kind of lasted a whole 4 years. The period from 2020 to 2024 begins with Soil.
I know some Cali dudes that wanna move to Cape Town. Their ancestors are the Africans that they clown. Stay proud in the states where the slaves found. It's the same crown if you black or a shade brown.
When that first video dropped of Soil as a single, the tone was set. Growth was upon us. Well-written, clever lyrics but mature, and the whole plate blended so well, the food just tasted nice. It starts to click. He followed it up by dropping a handful of dust.
Yeah. Okay. Well, who's the best rapper? Well, that's a hot debate. Pretty ugly, that's the topic, mate. Word is going round, it's way past the gossip phase. If you're an op, then it's not your day.
And the game is shocked. The game is up in arms. The fans, his OG fans, are saying yes, this is the Priddy Ugly we know. This is the Priddy Ugly we should have gotten a long time. Or at least this is the Priddy Ugly you guys should have been hearing all this time. It was vindication for his fans. It was vindication for Priddy Ugly himself. He was calling them out.
Rappers in a cocky place. I'm not the one to turn into hibachi steak. Lost his taste. Now your favorite rapper probably dropping plays. Copy paste. I'm Hailey Selassie in Versace shades. Need a Maserati just to match my Liberace grace. You won't scare me if you rap like Cole, do drugs like Thug, or sound like Drake. Kings lose their head if they scared that their crown might break. A great white, I guess I found my hate.
Every artist out there, he was making it known that he was finally here and he was not scared of any one of them. At any day, they could get it. He couldn't help but praise it. Even the outside praised it.
That was incredible, man. I loved everything about this song, man. I ain't got nothing else to add to that, bro. Priddy Ugly has clearly impressed both of us, man. Salute to everybody, all of the South African subs, man, that really pushed for Priddy Ugly, man, because it was...
Yeah, people like Priddy Ugly cannot rap. I don't think anyone has listened to Priddy Ugly's music or an album and then decided, no, this guy cannot rap. Or he's
yeah, there ain't no way, because he definitely slid on this mug. I don't care what y'all say. He was feeling great on this. Had them niggas in body bags. You hear me? Look.
Even some of his haters praised it. Oh, he wasn't done either. Songs like Dead Jungle and the Rap Relay, Loose Change, they kept the standard up there. Then there was Let Me Out featuring Zulu Mecca, one of the best, if not the best female rappers in Mzansi and maybe even Africa. Soil had touched down and it put niggas in the mud. You couldn't say anything. You couldn't argue with the Priddy Ugly fan if he had said he could take on the game. We were itching for any rapper to come out. With Soil, he had touched down. The ground was his. It didn't seem like he was going away. And he didn't go away. The second goal of the hat-trick was mud. Over the next year, we debated if he was the best rapper in the game, both his haters and his fans, all the time. It was never gonna be an easy feat with the artist in the game, you know. The likes of KO were still out there, dropping hits. The likes of Questa were still out there, never to be outshined by raps. But boy, did Priddy Ugly have the streets. Say what you wanna say about the success of Soil, but he had the streets. Everyone was talking about it.
I dig them rhymes, bro. You cannot sleep on these niggas, bro. If you sleep on these niggas, you probably gonna wake up on the floor somewhere by the robots. Like, yeah, it ain't even gonna be in the house, bro. You gonna sleep somewhere by...
So it's a surprise when you reach awards shows and an album like that is just missed. There's just mum on it. No one is saying anything. It's like the artist didn't do anything. But we as fans, we make noise and we made noise. But the powers to be, the machine, they just slept on the boy. No pun intended. So as a rapper, he did what any sane artist would do. He graced us with number 2 of the 3-peat. Mud, with only 7 tracks and no misses. Priddy Ugly finally got the attention of the masses. The project got some recognition at the South African Hip Hop Awards. Priddy Ugly bagged a nomination for the song 30 Minutes to Soweto and also the Mixtape of the Year nomination. Although he didn't win, we were going in the right direction. These were the circles he should have been in since way back. On the same note, he was also nominated for Lyricist of the Year, and this time he bagged it. Validation for himself, for his fans. It was his way of saying raps do pay. It was his way of breaking through the barrier. I mean, can you still call that person an upcoming artist? He just won Lyricist of the Year, and we are dealing with the climate with lyricists such as Stokey T, A-Riz, Nasty C, O.P.O, Shane Eakley, A-Riz, K.O, Ginger Thrill, The Big Hash, Zulu Mecca, and a bunch of other artists. And him winning Lyricist of the Year in a time where you could say there's an overabundance of lyricists. He won it at the right time. After years and years and years of grinding, he had finally got there. There was kind of one more stop, and that's at the top. From contemplating quitting to turning these rappers into dust, he had announced himself. He had arrived. A pretty ugly situation for all my haters. He was here. Goal number 3 on the 3P. The hat trick, it was Dust, the last album. After the Sweet Taste of Victory, Priddy appeared on a variety of tracks, but as a guest feature or basically joint tracks. Songs like God's Incense by Priddy Ugly, Shooter Combs, and Zulu Mecca. And no, they did not miss.
God is a woman, mudimu ke musadi, arahane ko hudimu badimu ke borahadi. I'm God's incense, my aroma and aura godly, so I pen my writtens on paper, eternal origami.
At all, and he kept on gracing us with quality music. There was no project for about 2 years. We had to wait, but we were never starved. We had bits and pieces of food here and there, and you couldn't say anything against Priddy Ugly. His music had just grown. He had found himself, like I say. 2 years later, he decided Dust was gonna be his last album. Sure. Dust was set to drop January 26, 2024. It arrived, and did it disappoint? No, of course not. He not only cooked, he smoked everyone on his way to winning the Best Hip Hop Album Award at the SAMA, the South African Music Awards, the biggest awards in the country.
Priddy Ugly!
With my dogs, man, para in a Porsche, bus up for the hottest. You don't wanna go to court, fuck up, or the dacha. They shot the homie in a prop, hit him up for his mother.
Que tô aqui na plan, step 1, que na bata. Anka tola ya legal, step 2, pero nada. You don't wanna go to war, niggas poor, you casata. In Victoria with the pounds, fancy I'm a job, so splata. Niggas hard cause babata, na kuno video,
Congratulations, boy, congratulations.
And on the first listen, you could immediately tell we were not dealing with the same artist. He was hungry and looking to eat. Track after track, it was an ugly situation. Production was mad. When you look at tracks like Piece for Piece,
I don't know many men that can rap from the heart. Putting pen to a pad as an art. As a kid, I was stabbed at the park. My heart is as black as the dark. You bitches sound like cats when you bark.
where there's a transition in between, it was smooth. The beat change in the middle. In football terms, we would call it world class. It was the type of beat change you would find on elite music, and the album didn't disappoint at all. You had hit songs like Njaka featuring Oma Clara, songs like Falling, What's the Math, Peace for Peace, Rest in Power, all songs that basically a rating out of 8 to 10. Dare I say, the best rapper in the country. 2024 was the year Priddy Ugly cemented himself. 2024 is the year Priddy Ugly finally put to rest his naysayers. No one could call him an underground rapper anymore. Graceful as ever, Priddy didn't really stop there. He kept on releasing singles and guest features on songs like War by K-Kid. Recently on songs like High Hopes by K-Kid, another one that I could classify as one of the best female rappers in Mzansi and Africa. Priddy Ugly he never disappoints. I can rave all day about the album and the artist.
Lyricism wise, like that's Stogie and Priddy, Priddy is. You're underrated very much. The words will you know what I mean? Like, forever. Yeah, like this is kind of the people that I was gravitating towards, like music wise. Yeah, that's fire. Yeah.
This is when an artist finally gets his respect. Priddy Ugly.
Yo, I'm actually like super emotional. You know, just like a year ago, I wanted to stop doing this thing completely. And with you to finish up those kind of way. I'm appreciated to thank my beautiful wife who's here next to me. It's been amazing. My team, everybody that supported me, the fans, it was only for you guys.